Elena had been the quality director for 6 months when her CEO called her into an emergency meeting. Her plant was losing about 140,000 euros a month because of different topics, customer rejections, complaints, and nobody understood why. She had been investigating 80 variables in a spreadsheet, had surveys, production metrics, defect rates, complaints. The director said, I need an answer in 2 weeks. Elena looked at the screen and felt the dizziness of someone who has all the data in the world, but not a single clue how to answer. What happened next isn't magic, it is pure statistics.
Welcome to Advanced Quality Programs with Juan Navarro. In this podcast, we're going to dive deep into the world of quality and leadership philosophies.
Think about an employee satisfaction survey with 20 questions. At first glance, each question seems independent. But when you look at the response patterns, something interesting appears. People who score high on I'm satisfied with my salary also score high on my benefits are competitive and compensation is fair. These three questions start moving together, as if they were expressing one single idea, the compensation factor. Factor analysis makes that structure visible. Instead of treating each variable as a separate universe, it tells you these 20 questions are actually talking about 4 or 5 underlying themes. These themes are called latent factors. Latent because you do not measure them directly, you infer them. Here is an image that helped me to understand this many years ago. A composer has an orchestra with 40 instruments. Each of those instruments produces a different sound. However, when you listen the symphony, you do not hear 40 separate melodies. You hear the themes, the tension, the calm, the triumph that the symphony is playing. Factor analysis does the same with data. It listens to the symphony together and tells you what the real themes are there, which instruments are there. And this is not just an elegant solution, it is extremely practical. If you are the leader trying to improve customer satisfaction, you don't need to act on the 87 variables as Elena. You need to act on the 5 factors that explain them. Factor analysis saves you years of misdirected efforts. You have 2 ways to use this tool. And choosing the wrong one is a mistake. So let's explore the 2 of them. The first one is the exploratory factor analysis. Use this when you have no idea how many factors exist or how variables group together. You feed the data into the algorithm, like Minitab, and then let it detect the patterns and allow the factors to emerge. It is like entering in the dark room and you are using your hands to find the furniture. Use this approach when you are in new territory, a pilot survey, an unfamiliar market, or a problem without a theoretical framework. Now, the second way to do it is the confirmatory factor analysis. And you use this when you are already good having an hypothesis. You know from theory, experience, or previous studies that there should be, say, 4 factors, and that certain questions should belong to certain factors. That confirmatory analysis will tell you if the data support your model or not. It is like entering the same room, but now with a floor plan and checking whether the furniture is where you expected it to be. Most statisticians or quality managers make some mistakes that I see from skipping the explanatory or exploratory step to jumping straight to the confirmatory analysis. And with untested assumptions, it is not leading to what you expect. There are 3 concepts that you absolutely need have explained without equations. The first is the factor loading. The strength of the link between a variable and a factor goes from -1 to +1. If you learn new things every day, has a loading of 0.089 on the professional development factor. Now, the question almost perfectly represents the factor. If the loading is 0.12, that question does not belong there. Now, rotation, a mathematical adjustment that makes the results clearer. Imagine factors as spotlights. The rotation turns them so that each variable is mainly illuminated by one spotlight. Without rotation, results are technically correct but hard to read. And finally, the explained variance, the percentage of the original information captured by your factors. If your 4 factors explain 72% of the variance in 20 questions, you are capturing almost 3/4 of the story with just 4 numbers. That's the analytical efficiency. There is something I need to say clearly, because it is important. Factor analysis does not prove causality. Never ever. If you find a factor that groups training hours, years of experience, and low defect rate, that does not mean that training causes fewer defects. It could be the opposite, or there could be a third variable, such as culture of continuous improvement, that is driving both. The factor analysis tells you these variables move together, shows the structure, but the causal story must come from you, your theory, your context, and your process knowledge. Confusing patterns with the cause is the statistical version of confusing the map with the territory. Let's come back to Elena. 2 weeks later, she did not present her CEO with a spreadsheet with those 87 variables. She actually presented a map with 6 factors. And one of them, related to equipment calibration on the third shift, was the responsible of almost 60% of all the problems they had. So they had to focus only on one. Her career changed that day, not because she discovered something magical, but because she stopped counting data and started reading the patterns. Remember, stories are not just illustrations, they are another kind of data. They contain the context, the emotion, and the details that numbers can never capture. A tool like factor analysis helps you to build that bridge between both worlds, the world of numbers and the world of human decisions. Your legacy is not measured by the decisions you are about to take, but the clarity you are willing to build with the data others only accumulate. Well, that's all for this week. If it helps you, especially, to separate factors from problems, give it a like, share it, and leave a comment with your experiences. Thanks everybody for your reviews of my books, The Quality Mindset, Life Quality Projects, and Principles of Quality. With that said, remember, stay excellent, keep improving, and keep exploring the factors of success.
One small change triggers everything. Watch how agile thinking works. Inspect, adapt, repeat. Each step builds the next, creating confident, unstoppable momentum. This is The Quality Mindset by Juan Navarro. Get your copy now.